I trust in that CIA guy. CIA guy said that this guy is a plant, right? Let's just say that this guy's in cahoots with the U.S. It's called the U.S. It's not using any good finance here. Like, think about what we're dealing with in the U.S. Think about the COVID in 2020, all the way up to like 2021, 2022, and the whole misinformation bullshit. Everything was being fact checked. Everything was being labeled as misinformation. Turns out none of it was misinformation. They were just labeling it as misinformation so that those people got silenced and all of this shit. So that's an American thing. This whole misinformation thing is something that we do on our media outlets, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and all types of shit. Those are controlled by the United States. And that was the thing with us. You didn't see fact checks on TikTok or any other fucking social media outlets. You know, people don't have a lot of other ones, downloading this shit, but you don't see that shit on Snapchat and all types of other shit. You just saw it on the big three: Instagram, which is controlled by Facebook, Meta, and Twitter, which is controlled by Elon Musk.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, you know what I'm saying, they stopped that whole thing. I think like earlier this year. Stop the whole misinformation, fact check this, boo boo,
Right.
whatever. Like
It's
all that shit surprisingly started around COVID, and all the stuff we call misinformation was approved.
they started doing this fact checking. This is when they hired specifically Facebook. You can hear Mark Zuckerberg talk about it. He's walking back everything that he did. And he's like, "Oh, they were the Biden administration was forcing
I
us
heard like yeah, I heard that.
and
So
cussing
my
us
thing
out."
is, if our number one thing like around that time, whatever, how long was this video? 2 weeks ago? If our whole thing was like, oh, we gotta decipher misinformation, like even our president, the vice president Kamala Harris said that we gotta decipher this misinformation. Imagine us just like telling this guy, like, dude, call that shit misinformation. They love it. Call that shit misinformation and keep it pushing. All that shit is misinformation. All that shit is a conspiracy. We'll just keep it pushing. The fact that he said that word, like you look at there's videos of Japan's prime minister on the internet right now talking right now because they're kind of moving away from peace because of the war that's going on in Taiwan and China, along with them just being reliant on the U.S. So they never talk about misinformation. The Trudeau guy, who again is not really controlled by us, he never talks about misinformation.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking, you never hear anybody else talking about this misinformation going around except the United States, which is always trying to mislead people. So I just think it's funny how that comes out of this guy's mouth. Um, these people are talking about us trading weapons and giving weapons away, whatever. But it's okay. We would know. We killed them, obviously. There's a lot of misinformation going around. That sounds like the exact same thing our government would say if we were in a situation like this. It's like, yeah, of course, we prosecute them to the highest state of the law. Why we'd know if something like that was going on, right? Just like our $8 billion that's missing from the audit, like you sent me earlier. We know if something like that was going on, we kill them, jail them for life.
Yeah, no,
That's
we actually
misinformation.
we
That's actually a conspiracy led by conspiracy theorists. Actually, and I just wanted to let you know. This is my Trump tone. I wanted to let you know it's not true.
mm,
On to the next. On to the next one.
no, but to kind of you play a little bit more of this in a second here, but I just wanted to say like my overall summary of listening to this president of Ukraine. He was almost just making it seem like, well, without President Trump and the help of the United States, we're not going to get out of this war. We need him to go talk to Putin and make him stop this.
Who the fuck this again? Who's gonna start a war you can't win?
The only reason, like, to really get into it, I think that we're there is because, well, one, we're not a big fan of Russia.
Pretty
We
obvious
can just
why we're there.
we're using up like, okay, we'll give you some weapons. We're not having any men
We
die,
just
and
war.
we can just suck out. Well, we're depleting Russia's military. So if we ever got into a conflict with China, Russia's already depleted by spending all this effort into trying to get Ukraine.
Russia is also, I would say, the next biggest nuclear superpower to the United States. So if Russia gets in a fight with anybody, chances are we're not siding with Russia. You feel me?
No, we're not.
But in
Well,
the back of my mind, it's like, according to the United Nations, that Russia and the United States are part of it. War is not allowed. They're not allowed to go to war. They're not allowed to kill people on foreign soil. But we're doing giving weapons, airstrikes, and all types of this for being a proxy to a war that's literally like almost on the other side of the fucking planet. Makes no sense to me, but everything is cool. She's gonna let it all happen or whatever. This is probably like what other wars are going on that we aren't a part of. There's a war going on in China between China and Taiwan right now. They're like
that's been
showing
going on
aggression,
for a while, and now it's just ramping up because China's eventually going to make a move.
but I
We're
mean you gotta
already
also
there
keep in mind
as well.
Japan exactly. Japan is right there, and Japan's military is literally just our military.
Yeah,
So
no, we have people from our
close
military
to either
fly.
in the war or close to the war.
No, we fly around Taiwan right now and protect it. Literally, we just do we go around there. You can find U.S. military. Like we're already ready for that shit.
Did we even pull out of Syria?
Trump's only been in for a couple days, so not yet.
Probably not.
Yeah, no,
But we can
play a little
continue.
bit more of this guy.
The everyday level, such things are still important. We catch these people and we fight them as if Putin wants to sit down and talk, but Ukraine does not. This is not
I
true.
think that, yes, he is in fact ready to talk.
Did you talk to him?
On the phone or what?
How do you normally talk to him?
I don't know. Normally by the sea. The same as with you. He invites you to the sea with me. Just the three of us.
No, no, one of us may drown.
Who? Are you good at swimming?
Yes, I am a good swimmer.
You're a good swimmer. Well, if you think that the
Buddha,
Keep going with him, dude. He's very.
you gotta fucking
president of a country is completely crazy, it is really hard to come to an agreement with him. You have to look at him as a serious person who loves his country and loves the people in his country. And he conducts, yes,
Who are you?
destructive military
Who are
actions.
you talking about now? Who loves his country?
Putin. Do you think he doesn't love his country?
No. What is his country? He happened to consider Ukraine his country. What is his country?
When do you think there will be presidential elections in Ukraine?
Yeah, so that's
The following is a
go into it, but
if
you
we can explain why the Ukrainian language is very
go on
important.
a little bit more of it. Get an idea what language. There's a couple other things in here. Talks about World War II and so on, and then he does get into obviously what's going on. Sitting down with that's what I would go to right there that you just passed up. Play this.
Ukraine had nuclear weapons. I do not want to characterize it as good or bad. Today, the fact that we do not have them is bad. Why? Because this is war. Today we are at war because you unleashed because you have unleashed the hands of a nuclear power. A nuclear power is fighting against us, against Ukraine, and doing what it wants. By the way, even you are now talking about ceasefire, just a ceasefire. Maybe give flowers to Putin, maybe to say, thank you so much for these years. That was a great part of my life. No, we are not just ready for this. Why? The Budapest Memorandum, nuclear weapons, this is what we had. Ukraine used them for protection. This does not mean that someone attacked us. That doesn't mean that we would have used it. We had that opportunity. These were our security guarantees. Why am I talking about this in detail? Because if you take the Budapest Memorandum, By the way, I discussed this with President Trump. We have not finished this conversation yet. We will continue it. Regarding the Budapest Memorandum, the Budapest Memorandum included security guarantees for Ukraine. At first, three. Three. The most important security guarantors for Ukraine. Three strategic friends and partners of Ukraine. This was in agreement. United States of America, Russia, Britain, France, and China joined. There were 5 states that these are not even security guarantees. We now understand that this is not a guarantee of security because, on the one hand, these are security guarantees, but there was an English word, as far as I understand, assurance. It is translated as assurance. Assurance, right? And in Russian, it will be, and what? Assurance. That is, give up nuclear weapons because you were under pressure of the US and Russia for Ukraine to give them up. These two powers were exerting pressure. These two states negotiated to ensure that Ukraine does not have nuclear weapons. Ukraine agreed. These these are the largest states. This is the nuclear five that does not even provide security guarantees. Now we just need to find these people and we just need to put in jail all of those who frankly invented all this. So confidence, assurance. Assurance that Ukraine will be territorially integral with its sovereignty. It was a piece of paper, if you are curious, by the way, that after occupying part of our Donbas and Crimea, Ukraine sent diplomats 3 times. I don't think I remember, 3 times within a few years. We sent letters to all security guarantors, to all members of the Budapest Memorandum. What did they send? That what was written on the piece of paper? Consultations. Ukraine holds consultations if its territorial integrity is violated. And everyone should be in consultation. Everyone must come. Everyone must meet urgently.
That sounds just like the United Nations, but like on a smaller scale. And if that's true, then it's like if they did pressure this guy to take his nuclear weapons, which sounds, to be honest, sounds exactly like some shit that either Russia or the United States would do because you know. So interesting.
U.S.A., Britain, Russia, France.
That's why I was saying like they had this accords, whatever you say, that somebody attacks me, you guys are supposed to come defend me, and nobody did. I mean, that would justify defense.
China.
Or,
Yeah, I mean,
Anyone?
the
doesn't.
guy is pretty good
France?
at making his case.
Did anyone
I
report?
was also before you said that, I was also saying like this guy sounds like
What happened to your mic, man? You just like gave it the flip down, dude.
I was gonna say this guy sounds like fucking. I don't trust him anymore.
You know, he sounds like a con.
He does, man. He sounds like he's trying to like remember what to say. Like,
He sounds
let
like
me
a
be honest
really
with
good
you. Let
politician.
me be honest with you. I lied. Yeah, I mean, he sounds like our politician. That's a big red flag for me. You sound like
Right,
our
doesn't he? He
politicians.
doesn't sound that much different. He sounds like a guy that knows how to fill up a bunch of time with a bunch of words.
I see him doing stuff that I do in our life. Like,
Yeah, I mean, we let him talk there for enough for right now because honestly, that's
doesn't even
just
know these.
more of the same. And then he goes into about how he wants, Trump to go shake hands with Putin and sit down with him and tell him to stop. And without the U.S.'s
Trump
help,
already did.
the
Trump apparently sent something to Putin telling him to stand down or something of that nature,
yeah,
or he would
yeah,
do tariffs.
right. No, I knew that was gonna happen, and then we can de-escalate this mess for right now. It's the way shit goes.
We would love that, wouldn't we? Nope. We don't want the war to end, do we?
No,
No.
well, no. We can try and, it takes us 20 years to pull out of a war. Come on.
Actually, yeah, you're absolutely right. Now that we have all these people over there, they're not just gonna up and leave. We're gonna continue operations there long after the war, I'm sure. That's
Mm-hmm.
what we do. After we help Japan rebuild, we pretty much force them to sign a treaty saying you're not going to start a war, you're not going to be involved in a war, you're not going to do anything violent, and then we're going to build military bases
We
everywhere
seem
on
to
your
do
island.
that everywhere else.
Isn't that funny?
Why wouldn't we
Isn't
do
that
that
funny?
there? Yeah, well, we're
Isn't
doing
that,
it to protect them. Right
isn't that
now,
funny?
all we have to
And
do is just
then
send them a bunch of
also,
money that we
if
don't
you
have.
just say this war does end or whatever, but Ukraine becomes our ally, this whatever, that and third. So now let's just assume we have operations going on in Ukraine like right there on the Russian border. Russia is like our biggest, aside from China, maybe Russia is like
They're one
our
and the
next.
same.
Right.
If China goes
So
to war with us or Russia
we
goes
got
to war with us,
Japan. Now we just need new Ukraine.
yeah, that'll make up for the fucking population of
I
Russia
understand
and
it now.
China. Yeah.
Everything makes sense now.
Well, and we also would like to protect Taiwan. We want Taiwan. We would like that.
We say that, but you think anybody in our government, politicians, like actually have our get power or trying to look good? Like nobody. Nobody has just
I mean,
nobody's ever been like that. So I mean, you're not gonna sit here and tell me that we're just trying to stop the world. Always gonna be deeper than that. I mean, I read something earlier today. It's very important. It's like some people's parents raise them for a world that isn't in touch with reality.
mhm.
Like they raise them, for a world with like rainbows and sunshine and shit. Then you realize like the world is a pretty fucking it's a lot to handle. But this isn't what my parents raised me to be in. So like it's be hard sometimes or whatever. But I mean like I was comparing it to this in the state of like what happened. What's that sound?
I,
Oh,
I stopped watching because then I can't have just both of our screens on. I have to have that guy's face in the background the entire time. And I didn't want that if we weren't watching that video anymore. So I don't have this fancy editing like these other podcasts where I can just floop to, we're not there yet.
no, I can be your editor. I can edit videos.
You gotta edit in real time. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, edit
It's
it
the,
as we're recording.
right. Now you have to do the production value of it. Right.
But I was saying like people don't realize the reality of the situations because they weren't raised nor taught to be aware of it. School doesn't teach you to like pay attention to the government or politics or what's going on in foreign nations. College surely doesn't teach you how to do that unless you study foreign politics or foreign relations. The
Uh,
news, again, another outlet that just one telltale sign. All the dirty stuff the CIA has done, there's not one news podcast or report where you could see them actually talking bad about the CIA or saying anything in a negative light about the CIA, unless it's a guest that they have on. Even then, they're like, "All right, on to our next." Like I said, there's
yeah, they know
people don't realize that they're being
manipulated.
misled, and
Yeah, they're being manipulated, led down a wrong path. It leads to a bunch of
like we're
brainwashing.
informed, like we're to the point where we're not listening to the noise anymore. We're looking at the facts and what's real. It's like what I was telling you about in Japan. That opened more questions. Like, oh, I learned a little bit about Japan since we nuked them. They have no military presence. We are their military presence, and it's getting to a point where they don't want that anymore. They're moving away from all their peace, literally constantly signed constitutions. So I mean, it's part of their
Oh,
whatever. So they're trying to move away from that. But I mean,
yeah.
like since then, we have this huge military presence in Japan. And Japan is right next to one of our biggest enemies. Now you have another war that's going on. including one of our biggest enemies. And for some reason, we go right up next to him, type shit. I think about the Iraq War and fucking what happened with 9/11. Like
This is just
just a
like chess.
lot.
I mean,
Yeah, it's literally chess. And back to what I was saying, because I don't want to go on forever, but our government doesn't have our best interests at heart. Like if they said this, Trump says, I'm going to sit down and like I know people hate Trump, but I feel like they hate Trump for the wrong reasons. Like I don't hate or love him, just like I don't hate or love Biden, even though he's kind of getting old, face ass. But I listen to what they say. I listen to how they say it. I listen to pay attention to their intention, just like I'm doing with this guy. And I don't know anything about this guy, but I mean,
well, if you're anything like me, you've come to the conclusion that all these people are puppets. It doesn't matter what country you're from. These are the highest leaders with the most control, and they are usually not the ones that are actually pulling the strings. They are the
yep,
mask behind it. We'd had the perfect opportunity for all of us as people to realize that we had a guy with dementia we could be lied to for years by that same party telling us, no, the guy's fine, the
people
guy's
still dig
fine,
allowed
the
for
guy is
something like
fine, and we can have him essentially be the leader in the face of our country. The guy had mental health problems, to the point where it was sad. And that was who led the country. So if you don't realize that at that point, that it's not really him, and if the U.S. is doing this, and we actually have elections, come on, you don't think the rest of the fucking world is on that same type of swing? Um,
not on the same swing.
well, as far as it's just a mask for what needs to get done, and there a lot of other countries are more blatant about this is how it's going to be because there is no quote unquote democracy we're still clinging on to. And to get back to the whole thing, like now with Ukraine and that shit, it does remind me like we're always in something and we have to be in something. And it led back to
That's
right.
because our country is not, I don't want to say funded by our military, but that's the origins of a lot of our industrial wealth that came right after our
We are
wars because of our military.
we are run on a military industrial complex,
Yeah, all the money that building weapons does for us,
and ever since
selling weapons.
World War II, we basically said, "Hey, we're gonna be the hero and save the day." So anytime there's a conflict, and we want to spread, like we were the leaders of the world at that time. So and we had been, but after World War II, we came out pretty unscathed compared to everybody else, and everyone was owing us money, and we could just go anywhere and fuck with anyone. So it became like a thing where like we're gonna start these wars before they even happen. Let's just go over there
I wonder
and
if
take
Putin
over
knows.
that place.
I wonder
And
if Putin knows. I wonder if
and
Putin knows. Like, I wonder if these other presidents know that. Like, I wonder what they feel about the JFK assassination. Like, do you like we're just normal citizens who live here, and there might be like a policy that stops people in other countries from viewing our news and stuff like that. 'Cause, I mean, yeah, I'm sure we don't want certain stuff to be aired out on the internet. But what do you think those people think about us? Like, I mean, like, I'm talking about like Putin, fucking Korea's president, Japan's president, China's president. Like, we've killed our own. That's probably why they're so afraid of us. Like, we killed our own leaders, we killed our own investigators, our own soldiers, we killed so many people. We're killers. You know what I mean? We're
yeah.
known. We're known certified killers at this point. We would have bombed Osama bin Laden, but we just didn't know he was there. We're certified killers. So he got lucky. He's one of the few people out of the thousands that got bombed because we saw you walk in this building. You're wanted.
Oh, isn't it
All
funny
right, y'all,
how
I'm going to lunch.
how we interviewed that guy at one point? Like, I don't know if you've ever seen the video of like they have like
Yes, he was one of our agents, and if you listen
and then we couldn't
to
find him.
if you listen to his, I'm pretty sure it was a speech that you probably can't find on the internet now, where he pretty much talks
It's
about
been scrubbed.
the dude talks about our military industrial complex, and I'm talking about like this is like back in the 2000s, 1990s. He's talking about our military industrial complex and how we are like starting wars and shit like that. I'm pretty sure he brought up the I'm not gonna say that. I don't want to be incorrect. I'm not sure if he brought up the United Nations, but I'm pretty sure he just brought up like the corruption that we were involved in, and that's why this guy, and I mean just him being who he was involved with his religion, like he saw the U.S. as like a poison. You know what I'm saying? That was going to affect everybody with the evil type of shit. And
Well, he wasn't wrong.
why do you think Trump is declassifying the JFK, MLK, and RFK? All these people that's been assassinated. Why do you think Trump is being declassifying this stuff? This guy that doesn't like the CIA, and I'm not gonna say the CIA, but again, the government, quote unquote, controlled by whoever,
Well,
tried to defraud this
he's
guy.
he's anti deep state. He doesn't. That's
Exactly.
his
That's
stick.
why he's declassed. So if our president is anti deep state, and we're talking about how the deep state is, doing all this wick whack whatever. Like, I mean, dude, too many things are lining up. Like, bro, it's people like at this point, it's like it blows my mind. Like that's something I was thinking about today. Like, if I do find a woman, she's gonna have to know. She's gonna have to know what's going on. Because if I cannot live another day of my life being with somebody that is just like fully unaware, or if they are unaware, they're fucking oblivious to like the shit we're talking about right now. It's so obvious at this point that, again, at the very core of our nation and our existence at this very time in the universe, that like we have a bunch of money hungry and power hungry people in control of the world. I'm not just talking about our nation. I'm not just talking about corporations or
No,
let's talk about
this isn't
everything. Let's talk
limited to
about
the United States. This is on a global scale. This is
let's
humanity and
let's
the way
I
we've been
mean, dude,
conducting for a
and
long
just like we were
time.
talking about, the United States is like number one. We're kind of like, or we used to be, or whatever. But like,
We still
just
think of
we're
ourselves as
if
that.
we are number one, and all these people that we've invaded and like pushed our policies and shit like that, bro. Let's just think about something for a second. Just like what I was talking about, like our people don't have our best interests at heart, and like our existence in this universe right now, it's literally just like a grab for money and power. Think about our pharmaceutical industry. Think about all the whitewashing and lying they did during the period of COVID. Think about our food industry. You know what I'm saying? How is it that I've been on this planet for 25 years now, almost, and we're just now passing a law that bans red dyes and stuff of that nature from being in foods when we've known, I'm pretty sure, for my entire life, just as general knowledge done by open studies you can find on the fucking
No, but
internet
we
by
allowed it, and
trusted.
we do that.
Exactly.
We
We allowed it
stopped.
because it looks good
Yeah,
and it tastes good and
yeah,
nobody cares. Nobody wants to do anything
right.
about it. And if you try to stop us, we're gonna do something
Well,
again.
we're
Like
making
that
money
again,
off of it.
I'm just ticking things off. So pharmaceutical industry, the food industry. It's just everything is
Well, so
brother.
our main source of income is the pharmaceutical industry. It is giant, giant.
Military industrial complex, the fact that we profit so much off of being in a war, the fact that it's good for our economy. You send people to work to build bombs, and then those people go home and they buy new shoes, they buy new cars, they buy new this, and that puts money back into the economy. It's good for us. It creates jobs and it creates a need and a necessity for war. And that's what we've done in the last couple of decades. We've created a necessity for war. Because
Hmm.
what happened after, excuse
Decades.
me for not knowing. No, I mean like what war was like right before the Great Depression?
Well, we had a good old World War I. If you want to talk about the
Yeah, So after that, we're like, oh my god, what the fuck? What are we don't all these people are out of job because we have no need to create 100 tanks a day. We have no need to create 100 aircraft a day. They're gonna 90% of them are gonna get shot down or fall out of the sky. So at this point, it's like it's behind the curtains. But if you really look at it, like what makes us our money is imports, trades, creating weapons, oil, and
Well, that's how we
other
became
natural resources.
that's how we became the number one superpower for the 20th century, and we wanted to continue that into the 21st century. And that was
Yeah.
because we had the strongest military. No one could come and attack us. There was no threat of that. We could control the dollar, the currency being used. So therefore, you control that
And we
global
killed
market.
everybody that tried to change that.
And we will kill you for our freedom. In the name of freedom, we will come and kill you. We will take
In the
everything
name of
that you
my
have just so
country.
you're free. We just want to make sure that
In
you're
the name
free.
of my country. What that post say? What that post say? Hold on, give me some. I'm gonna go back and look what it said. Look at what it said. Hold on, wait, hold on, man. Hold on now. Wait a minute now. Cause it said what this thing say? Oh wait, no, hold on. I gotta go back and read the first one because it said some crazy shit. Hold on. Damn it. Wish that the only thing I wish to have, what did it say? I only regret that I have but one life to lose for my country. Just imagine. Just imagine. Just imagine. Yeah, politicians are fucking crazy. People that are in charge are fucking crazy. They
Wait,
don't really have a care for human life or the
so like,
advancement of it.
well, I'm thinking about it. You're going to serve, so I just was thinking about. I was hearing just you hear more and more about it, like more that we talk about the fact that we wasted our time in Afghanistan and Iraq and all those people. Like we have the most mental health disorders from people coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan than we had in World War II. So more people are fucked up from that and today than they were back then. And you got to imagine at the time when you went out there after 9/11, you thought you were doing yourself a goddamn beautiful service for
Yeah.
this country because we were all
Yeah, think about
convinced that
Chris
we
Kyle.
needed to. Yeah,
Think
well,
about Chris Kyle.
but think about it doesn't have to be Chris Kyle. Think about just the millions of guys that went and served and they thought they
The
were
Marines.
doing a good thing for their
The
country.
Marines that were kicking
But
down doors in fucking dirt huts
for what?
in Afghanistan.
For what? They
Because our
come back.
politician wanted us to be there.
They come back and they're like, shit.
We needed to kill Osama bin Laden. And also just get military control of the country, which, by the way, didn't work.
So we have like you can.
Officially, that's a war that we lost that nobody talks about.
We had planned on invading several of these countries years prior before 9/11. That information is out there. You can go find it. There's been talks of like
Hold up.
we're gonna go do that.
I mean,
So what you're saying? The
at this
guy,
point,
the president of
at,
Ukraine, he's saying
at
he's
this
speaking
point,
facts.
at this point, at this point, again,
Good lord.
I said that this guy is most likely a plant.
So
And
just
you
because
look
you
into it.
don't think that CIA guy's a plant?
No, that's just number one. You look at other videos about this guy. People talk about him being a comedian. He had no
They
political
all
history.
are puppets. I thought we're at this point already, dude.
Yeah.
Don't trust that thing that you see on the screen right there. He's playing an
That's
act,
the
playing a
thing. That's
role,
the
and he
thing.
does it
Listen,
well.
man, if they're all puppets, brother, and the only ones that aren't our puppets are our enemies, then like what information can we like trust about like I'm sure on a deep dive on YouTube, like people posting about it, people that have insights, people that are in Ukraine that can post to YouTube, you can probably get a pretty good idea of what's going on here. But
You have to do your
I
own
wouldn't listen. I would,
research, but
but that's the thing. I wouldn't listen to this guy talk about it. I wouldn't listen to him. I wouldn't listen to Biden. I wouldn't listen to Trump. I wouldn't listen to Kamala Harris. I wouldn't listen to Putin talk about some shit.
that's the world that we're living.
I wouldn't listen to any of them. I wouldn't. I would hear what they have to say, and then I'd go do my own research.
And
And
that's what I think more people are waking up to is this idea that we need to be more
Ain't enough
independent.
people waking up to. Nobody is talking about the guy that blew up the stuff in the email. That's crazy. Nobody. I've literally seen nothing about that. I look up suicide car Trump tower bomber email Reddit. Nothing. There ain't nothing nowhere. There's a little bit of stuff here and there, but there's really not. It's not catching any traction. That's the
No,
second thing I've heard of. And if I went on YouTube for hours or something, I'm sure as hell I could find more stuff about this like
so
Davidic propulsion system that everybody keeps talking about.
look, man.
Fucking retarded.
As much as I love, like, I can talk about these types of conspiracies, and I still do all the time. At least I feel like you've definitely had a shift more. So, like, you're more open than ever. And that's great. And you could start going down all these rabbit holes. But where do they lead you? Nowhere. You will go crazy. I think they're fun, personally. Like, you
I
have,
mean, it's purposeful. That's what I was getting
yeah,
at. Like, it's
yeah.
impossible to really find the real information
No,
because I mean, you
and
can't trust this guy. You can't trust his government
you
because
need to
it's
be okay with that.
misinformation. I am.
It's
I
better.
know
It's
this shit.
better than being ignorant and just like clinging on to something just because you feel like you need to believe in it. It's good to question things. I think we're in a stage where we need to go over the top with questioning things rather than just taking in all this overload of information.
Bullshit.
We're so used to it. Used to be just uh what, radio, television, those were the main means. And then, they had the newspaper. That was the way that they could easily control mass opinions. And there was only a couple of channels that you could go on, only certain radio stations that you could use. Okay. And then it evolved to a point where they had no longer this control over the mass. There's just so much now with streaming, everything. So it used to be so much easier before, I mean, up until we were like hit our teen years, which wasn't that long ago, but that's when really things massive shift. We were at the tail end of it, but beforehand, when there was only CBS, ABC, NBC, that's where you got your news. You couldn't go on your phone. You can go on
Well,
Twitter.
a
You
lot of
couldn't
people
go.
still get their news from.
That's still a thing, but I'm just. I think now we're finally. If you didn't realize it through COVID, then maybe these people are just too far gone.
Listen, these people, the we that you're talking about, probably about 10-15%. These people you're talking about, these people that are
The
supposed to
people
realize what's going on.
people that
People
watch
first,
Fox News and CNN religiously and take
they don't know
whatever,
shit.
and
Listen,
they never will.
and I'm not gonna shit on her, but my grandmother, like, she watches the news every day, and it's like she's misleading and all the same stuff. And you listen to the
That's
people that
what
watch the news consistently, they all sound the same. They
I.
all kind of have the same feelings about certain topics, and they agree with the news. And it's funny enough, it's funny, because I mean, if I see stuff that I see as agreeable on the internet, just in general, that changes my way of thinking. But if you're looking at the news and this entire
I
time you
think
haven't
this.
realized that the news is like misleading you just a little bit, but just enough that you're on the complete wrong track. Like
You
you don't
gotta
realize it.
you gotta understand, like, people like your grandparents and that older generation, they didn't grow up into this technology wave of mass information, so they're not as
Listen,
injected into it.
most of Trump's voters were older.
I think he got.
Most of
I
his
think he
voters.
got. I mean, for sure, but I also probably think that there was a lot of. There's a lot more younger people now more than ever, which is a good thing. It's still not enough, but I do think this upcoming generation that we're in will be much more. They're not going to be as susceptible to buying in. I don't think they buy into the news like your parents or your grandparents do. I
None
think
of us
that's a
do. I don't
fact.
know anybody that watches the news.
I think that's
They
a
don't watch
fact.
the news.
So it's dying, which means they don't have control over that narrative. Now you can go find exactly who you
You're
want to
right.
go
I mean, it's
hear.
gonna get to a point where like
That's why I
the
was
new
bringing it
generation is
back.
gonna step in, and we're
No,
not gonna
that's
feed
why
into that
things like
bullshit.
this podcast, you can go find your own
One
little.
day we're gonna be the old folk.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna be fucking, gonna have chips in the brain soon enough, dude. Like fucking podcast. I
Everybody's
can
gonna be
go live
sitting.
a different
Everybody in the
life.
planet is gonna be sitting in one big warehouse with some hooked up to the brain and
We're all
eyes.
gonna be in
The big
one giant Amazon warehouse one day.
We're gonna be in a simulation, and then we're gonna eventually get into a simulation inside the simulation, and then that simulation
Yeah,
is.
it's all gonna start.
I'm just joking.
No, it's gonna
I'm just
start
talking
in an
shit.
Amazon
I'm just talking
warehouse.
shit.
Like that's where the simulation starts and ends, is in an Amazon warehouse, and Elon Musk is sitting there on a rocket launching off into space. Oh, speaking of that, so the inauguration, I won't do what he did. I can, but so did you see his thing? There's a bunch of pictures online about it of him giving this speech. He kind of goes all crazy, and he says, from the bottom of my heart to you. So he touches his chest, and then he
I was
goes
talking
up.
about Elon Musk.
Yeah, he goes up and he does the Hitler salute twice. Like he full on.
I don't think
He had to,
that was.
no, it wasn't, and so it just became this whole thing of
I don't think that was
people calling.
purposeful. Like Elon Musk has
No,
autism.
yeah,
Like
well,
he actually has.
I
He
know,
actually has autism.
I know
Like
that's
no, he's like actually said it. Like, he's like I have a
yeah,
form of autism.
yeah.
I think differently than other people. So I
Well,
mean, he probably like even when you hear him talking to people, he's a little different. So I mean,
I
when I
know.
saw that, I was like,
I
if people are stupid enough to like really run off
what?
of that, like,
Well,
come
yeah.
on,
Well, he's Hitler. That's what people went
that
with.
is
They think that now he's see proof that Trump is Hitler, and now he's got this guy. Honestly,
stupid stuff like that. Like that doesn't even catch my eye. The stuff,
no,
the serious stuff.
I found it. I just found that funny. Like out of the inauguration, that's what we had to pick apart is this guy, whether or not he supports Nazism. Really?
Nobody's picking that apart. I'm not picking that shit apart. We know he's not a fucking Nazi, bro.
No, we do, but it's still funny that it's a topic. I wouldn't have even heard about it unless someone was just making fun of it, and I was like, that's what we got out of the inauguration. Really?
People, people are distracted. People are distracted by stuff, and that's all that matters. In reality, I mean, what happens when all these celebrities stop posting? What happens when the news isn't the news anymore? What happens when there's just YouTube and there's just this podcast? There's all this stuff that's controlled by mass media just doesn't exist anymore. You start
Well, it's
to
slowly going extinct. It's
you
still
start to
there,
listen
but
you start to listen to more people that think for themselves rather than preformed ideas. A lot of the news is just like they've been saying this stuff for years. This is a repeat topic. But you talk to these people or listen to these people on YouTube like us, we're talking about actual real stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's happening, and this is
you
our
won't
own.
you won't find that on a news broadcast, and that's the way it's
You're not gonna.
been.
You're never gonna hear the news talking about the CIA or the fucking JFK assassination. As a matter of fact, when you do find the news talking about the CIA and the JFK assassination and their involvement in it, hit me up. That'd be interesting.
Have they had any track record, the media in general, and which is it just leads back to this point, but do they have any track record within, I don't know, decades of us being able to like take their word, trustworthy word about
I don't know if we've
anything?
like ever been able to like trust them. I mean, again, we're part of the small, very, very small minority of people that are at least slightly aware of what's going on. Most people have no clue.
So
I talk to my dad right now,
yeah,
no clue. I talk to my mom right now, no clue. I talk to my sister right now, no clue. I talk to my then girlfriend about this stuff, no clue. So that's
that tells you
one
like
in 6 already.
Right.
So I
And
mean,
those
you
are
just
the closest
people
people in your life. Like, and then
people have to care. People just care about paying their bills. Some people just aren't intelligent enough to care. Let me be honest with you.
we're too
I know a
distracted
couple.
as a society to
I know
care
a
a
couple of
lot.
friends that I mean, even if I told them like the CIA, if I went up straight up told them like, hey, I have evidence that the CIA is creating has UFOs that can like like fly, like don't aren't
They
controlled by
can use
gravity.
you know, a non-anti-gravity propulsion system is the big fancy term
Right.
for these things.
They would hear me out, listen to it, and then they'd probably not think about it ever again because they
Doesn't
don't
affect their
realize
lives.
like yeah, they're just not aware of like what's really going on. Like, if you look at our country's history. I mean, just the CIA, the FBI, the the Treasury Department, like you were talking about, the our politicians, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you just look at all of it, there's a lot of shady stuff going on.
So yeah,
You
you
know,
struck on that. Federal Reserve. Talk about that real quick. So that was started in 1913, I believe, and that was right around the time of the First World War, and we had to come up with a currency, and we used gold as that form of currency. It was supposed to be based on gold. So for like every $1, they were supposed to put away 35 ounces or whatever of gold. Okay, so they
yeah, so that's how you don't create
and
inflation.
and so that's what they started
Your
with,
money that doesn't exist,
right?
the
But
number on the screen.
so that's where I'm going to get to is the Federal Reserve started on something that was supposed to be founded on something, like, but they do their own thing. So um, we fast forward. I think it was stopped like during the Great Depression or around that time, and we stopped using gold as our main form. And then a few years later, we get back on it, and then up until Nixon, we had been going through all these wars, World War II, all that shit. And it's been decades later, and we had started using our US dollar as the main form of currency across the globe for most of our trade actions. So we were using this idea that we had gold for you that you could come and claim. So if we owed you something, we had this gold sitting there for you. That was what we based our whole economy on. Is like
Yeah, people don't even know that. They don't teach you that in school. They
so
don't teach you about that
yeah.
part of history.
Let me keep going here because it gets better. Nixon France wants their gold back, okay? And this is during Nixon's term, and because they realize like we can just claim this at any time instead of just keep going with this fucking, waiting for our dollar to get back. We'll take the gold because that was in the clause of the whole thing. Like you could
Yeah.
always. That was how they got people to use their dollar was because we had this gold. We had another form that we could back this on. And France asked for their gold. We said, fuck no. And we changed the law completely to where we don't use gold anymore. And we just started printing out the dollar. So, in order for us to screw over France and not have to pay them the debt that we owed them, we just completely changed the law, took out this gold standard, and we have been printing money ever since. And the Federal
And
Reserve
didn't
has stayed there since then. And how they make their money is they have like the major banks, Chase and all that shit. They
didn't the
charge
value of
interest.
gold drop after that?
Yeah, of course it did. And that's why it plummeted to nothing because it was
I
just like,
remember, I remember when I was growing up, we buy gold stores everywhere. So if you were one of those people that was like, all right, well, I'm gonna have some gold so that if the bank falls for you, I have it on its backup because I can always trade my gold in for money. But now your gold is losing its value. You're gonna sell it. Now
well,
nobody
that
has
then
gold anymore.
gold became worthless after that. And it was because of
Right.
a thing that we had. I didn't know all that shit. I was like, because I knew growing up, I asked my parents, I'm like, Why don't we just print this money? Because I didn't understand, like, and we had been, but they kind of just told me, no, that's not. You're not really taught in school that, yeah, this is how the
They don't
econ.
want you. They don't want you to be a critical thinker. It's real. They just want you
I
to know
mean,
just enough so that you feel like you understand enough.
I
Like
learned.
Christopher Columbus. Think about what they taught you about Christopher Columbus
Oh, what
before.
a
And now
great
what you
guy.
they want you to know, man. I'm saying what they did to Indians and what they did to Indians, in the coming years. You know, the slaughtering of animals just to wipe away snakes so that they couldn't eat, couldn't harvest hide and stuff like that. Giving them diseases and shit like that. A lot of history is they don't teach you a lot of stuff that they don't want you to know.
There's the fit. Be a shame, dude. We can smoke on this. One knows your name.
It's not that I got my fucking legs on. I don't want to be like, oh my, just a big guy in a small room.
Yeah, you and your bunk buddy up there.
Hey, you see him? Yeah, yellow guy up there. Yeah, buddy. His name is Saito.
Awesome.
He's like, Jacob, what's your favorite football team? I'm like, I don't fucking watch football. I'm like, fuck you, name a team, dumbass. I'm
Yeah,
like,
just
all right,
pick one,
I
dude.
fuck with the Eagles because I play them on Madden. I know like 3 players on their team. Even when I played Wii fucking football, I use the Eagles like every game. I've always used the Eagles. Always been my go-to team.
That's like close to where you grew up, somewhat, right? No.
Nah, they're in Philly. I'm in like close to Washington D.C.
So instead of
Also,
you rooting for the Commanders where you grew up in, you're rooting for Philadelphia this coming.
I talked about this with one of my friends. Like when we were in school, like they did a lot of like Redskin themed stuff because that's the team
Yeah,
in
but
our state or whatever.
can't be saying
So like
Redskin
as a
anymore. That's a
kid,
slur, dude.
I'ma say what it is.
It's a slur, man.
I'ma say what it is. You don't like it? Tough. Commander, Redskin,
Redskins.
Deadskin. It all sound the same to me. I still see burgundy, gold, and white. All right. So as I was saying before, you're pretty much indoctrinated into the Redskins franchise as a kid going to school. But like again, as I started playing Madden, like I don't even know. Maybe I don't know. I used a lot of teams, but the Eagles is like I don't even remember why I just started using them. But then like somebody like I said, they made me pick a team. So I said the
Well,
Eagles
you
and I
just
actually started watching their games. And they weren't even like really good at the time. I don't think they'd actually been to the playoffs very often in my childhood. That Super Bowl that we had was like I guess our first Super Bowl in a while. So it was a big thing, and it's still a big thing. Like we're getting ready to go to the Super Bowl again, hopefully. So I mean, shit, it's gonna be very interesting. Imagine we win the Super Bowl again. That'd be nice.
yeah, you don't understand. As a Lions fan, we were projected to win the Super Bowl for weeks on end, and then our
You
defense.
guys were the number one seed last time I checked.
Yes, yes. I grew up. So let me tell you a little backstory about being a Lions fan.
Are we
That's
live?
yeah, we're live. We are live. We got the knife and everything, but yeah, we're live. We're doing a little football conversation here since it's Super Bowl coming up. But me as a Lions fan, I grew up with that being one of the worst franchises in all of sports.
Oh yeah, you guys were not. Didn't you guys have Cam Newton when
No,
that was
I wish
younger?
we had Cam Newton. So Matt Stafford was our quarterback for
Who?
12 years.
Isn't Stafford on another team now?
Yeah, now he's on the Rams. We traded quarterbacks. So what are you looking for, dude? You're
No,
scaring
I'm
me.
listening. I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm listening.
No, we traded quarterbacks, so we got Jared Goff, their quarterback, who we didn't think was going to be anything, much. It was kind of like a filler for us, we thought. And then
Right.
we traded them to Matt Stafford to the Rams, and they went on to go win a Super Bowl next year, which was ironic.
They did.
So,
It's
yeah.
like, fuck y'all.
So our quarterback, Jared Goff, went to the Super Bowl with the Rams. Prior, they lost. They got crushed by the Patriots, I believe. And so they traded him. They didn't want him. And then we got him. And then we got Dan Campbell. That started the rebuild. But going back to what I was saying, like, this was a team that lost every game. At 0-16. They did not win a game. My entire childhood, I was used to just, like, what was our pick gonna be?
Hey,
There was just the worst franchise that you could think of, and so it was hard being a fan. And then eventually, over these past couple of years, we started fucking actually winning football games.
y'all cooking right now.
Well, we won 15 games this year. I'm used to us going 2-15, not 15-2, and the number one seed, and everything's just rolling. We made a lot of good picks. Everything is cooking, and then we had a good enough team to go win that Super Bowl this year. I truly believe that. And so
Sometimes
we had the most
that's how
injuries on the defensive end out of any team. We had to sign a bunch of guys off the street at the end just to kind of make it work. And we lost our defensive tackle, Aiden Hutchinson.
Sometimes that's really how it goes. We had a similar situation where we lost in the Super Bowl. Like, didn't we lose the Super Bowl recently?
Yeah, the Eagles lost to Patrick Mahomes and by like
Mahomes. Say his name right.
Mahomie, dude.
Because the rest are gay
3
for him.
points.
He's a Mahomes for the rest are gay for him.
I'm glad that we can't hear what you're saying about him, dude.
I said he's Mahomes because the refs.
Oh, you don't think it's
I do. I firmly believe that they're fabricating certain calls and calling bullshit stuff just because. I mean, just think about it. Like there's so many athletes have said like this is an entertainment industry. We're here for entertainment. We're here to create to generate revenue, right? If we don't generate revenue, then we're no good. They're not like you know what I'm saying. The thing about
that's
Clayton
fine,
Clark
but
and Caitlin Clark and that other girl.
Let's give those calls back. This is what my rebuttal to this. Let's give those calls back to the Texans. They only scored one fucking touchdown in that game. And everyone's flipping about these two fucking plays that literally would not have made.
Buddha, let me tell you something. Games are decided by one or two plays. Games are decided by
not
one
when
or
you
two
only
mistakes.
score one touchdown. If you do not, I've watched enough football and know you
can
will
go
not
on YouTube and watch their entire season, and there are several games where these calls that I'm referring to have literally
Oh, I
altered
understand.
the game.
I think it happens.
Like they would not have won if this shit, calls didn't go their way. And some of these calls are bullshit, like the roughing the pass. I even heard my dad talking about it. My dad is not a football fan, but he was calling it bullshit. And I overheard it. And I was like, yeah, I'm glad you guys are starting to realize what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Well, until they come out to be like the Brady's Patriots, where they actually had.
They're not going to do that. They're never going to do it. Again, this is they're Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes are all generating revenue for the sport. And it's too many analysts, too many players, too many people have literally just said, like, yeah, this is bullshit. And it's just like a classic response from them to just ignore it. Like, yeah, I'm not going to say anything about that.
Anytime
Oh, and
you're
if you do say something, again, they find these people very heavily if they say something bad about the refs. You can't speak about it. If you do speak about it, you get fined.
Yeah.
And people are going to look at you a certain way. So, I mean, you got to think about it, like, this is one of the biggest industries in the United States. It's not impossible to imagine, like, they got some dirty shit going on, which involves, like, influencing the game.
These
I mean,
refs aren't even paid full time, though, man.
brother. I'm trying to tell you. I mean, if you just
I'm
look at the
not.
evidence,
I've
it's
looked
just
at.
like all the other
I've
stuff
watched
that we look at.
all of the
There's
Chiefs
evidence.
games that I could possibly could. And
No,
do
but
I agree
listen,
with all of
listen.
them? No. Do I agree with all the calls? Do I think you have a point? Yes. Okay, so we don't need to act like
There's evidence.
I,
There's
I, I
evidence.
and some of these
There's evidence.
calls are also just.
Just like you're talking about the Federal Reserve. There's evidence of what you're talking about, like them misusing the money and hiding stuff and being secretive, and plotting to pretty much cause capitalistic inflation. That's all based on factual evidence. There's evidence that supports that some of these games are being influenced by these calls that are going to the Chiefs in nefarious ways. You know what I'm saying? Like there was a pass interference call that I saw. I think when the Texans are playing, I was just
I
like, dude,
know.
what the fuck even was it?
I get it, but you gotta understand, like those calls happen all the time, every weekend. It's because
I'm
it's the
sure
Chiefs. I'm telling you, I watch football every weekend, and there is
we can
usually
just agree to disagree.
no. I'm not even disagreeing with you. There have probably been a handful of plays, handful of calls that went the Chiefs' way that looked egregious. No shame in that. Could there be uh, this conspiracy of they probably have fixed games for decades in some way? I don't know. Refs are an easy way to do it. Is that up for debate? Sure. I just they can they could do that shit, but they can't make the Texans score
Let me
points.
say this one thing. Let me say this one thing. So I understand your viewpoint, but you're not giving a lot of evidence to support it. Like just like we were talking about the other stuff, right? Like our viewpoints, like here's evidence to support that. There's people like I said, let's just shoot anything in the air, like
Well,
the
they get the
flight.
same amount of calls, like they're like ranked 12th as far as the amount of calls that they get per game with
It's
every other team. They're not getting any more calls, and these types of
not
calls are
about
also
getting more calls.
it's the
Not
types
about
of
getting
calls that
again.
you're
I'm
talking
telling you,
about.
like the game, if they're getting like 5 or 6 more calls than the other team, then yeah, that's obviously like
But yeah, it's the types
something,
of calls
right?
that you're talking about.
But again, not even the types of calls, just like at times these calls are made. Like they're on fourth
Yeah,
down conversions, third down conversions. The Chiefs are in a bad spot. They need a first down. And they're literally just gifted it sometimes. And it happens on both sides. Like I'm not a very biased person. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty open
do I?
to ideas and the information.
No,
But again, like I was saying, there's evidence to support and
I'm.
points
Do I
to this.
think that I have been fucked over as a Lions fan by the refs? I have yes, yes. That
I'm not even saying the rest in general. I'm talking about the Chiefs. Like just
they have done
like
this with every dynasty, though. This always
let's think
comes
about it
up.
again. Another reference, just like how all the dots are connecting and pointing to one thing. The dots are connecting on this too. You know what I'm saying? I compared the NFL to the WNBA and Caitlin Clark and the Angel Reese girl. These two college superstars coming to the NBA, WNBA, and they're making all this noise. Of course, that's bringing in revenue and views to the WNBA, and that's good. They want the drama, they want the
Yeah, but
speculation.
they're not.
What
What
I'm
we're
saying?
talking about is literally
But
the
what I
Roger
know, but wait, but
Goodell
wait,
who
I know,
makes
but what I'm
60
getting
million a
at
year to
what I'm getting at
pay
is
off these
like
refs.
it's not far fetched that the NFL has the same mindset. We're gonna use
They
if a team
do.
is doing really good, they have a really good starter, whatever the case may be. Just like the Commanders, how they're marketing this Jaden Daniels guy. People think
They
he's
market
invincible.
what's given to them, and
But again, this Kansas Chiefs, this Taylor Swift girl, Caleb Clark being at the games, fucking just all I'm telling you, like all of it. It's just for me, it just screams red flag, and they might just go to win the Super Bowl. Who knows? I mean, if
if they
it's
it,
one of those things. There's nothing we can do about it. It's not.
no,
It doesn't really matter that much to me who wins the Super Bowl. Like the Eagles lose to the Redskins, I'm gonna be upset. But I mean, it's not really going to affect my
You
day-to-day
might
life,
be able to
you
go
know.
and beat the Chiefs, and then what will you say about the refs then? You won't be talking about it. You'll be like, we won the fucking Super Bowl. And you'll just
I
shut
mean, the
up
Chiefs
about
have
it.
been beat before. Like I'm telling you, if you really pay attention to these calls, like they're the timing of them and the way they happen is
I've seen
points to
the
red
ending to
flag.
every Chiefs game this year.
They can't just make them win every. You keep saying I've seen every game. That's
Yeah,
not
the
a good
blocked
defense.
punt. I've seen these calls that happen, and yes, man,
No,
I know. I'm not even disagreeing with you that some of
no. What
these
I'm saying
calls are been
is
bad.
that's not a good defense for your clause. You're saying
I'm
that
not
you don't
trying.
necessarily.
I'm not trying to defend them. I have never been trying to defend the whole thing. All I've said is that you know I'm kind of in the middle. Like I'm open to the fact that there probably have been some bad calls. I can totally see your opinion.
That's
And
being very
I'm not even saying that it's wrong or that it's
that's being very indirect. I'm saying that there's a very good chance, just straight out, that they're influencing. I'm not just talking about calls. We keep saying calls. I'm just saying they're influencing these games to make sure that these guys have a good chance. Like even a slightly better chance is illegal. Let's just put it like that. If you're in a sport and these players are putting their bodies, their careers, their lives on the line for entertainment, even the slightest, all right, well, I'm going to give these guys a little nudge so that they can get ahead. That's not okay.
man.
And there's been more times than not, and too many times. Just put it as that. Too many times. Like if it happens once or twice, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? If it happens 3 or 4 or 5 times, that's fine. It's a sport. This
You
shit
have
happens.
every
You know what I'm saying?
right to think that. And honestly, like I'm just sitting here looking at it like, okay, the refs could be in cahoots with them. I still watch the fucking game. I agree with some of the plays, some of the calls. A lot of them I don't. So I'm right there with you. I do think there have been a number of plays that you could be favoritism. It's like this with the NBA and LeBron. This guy could fucking walk 5 feet and then not get called with the travel. You know, if LeBron looks at the guy like at the ref one way, we'll give him a fucking. You know, it happens with all these guys. They do get favoritism. You know, and whether or not they're being paid off and there's a big production behind it, whatever. We can't control it. We can talk about how it seems fucking odd, but this happens almost every year. So you either think that the NFL is what it is bought out, most which it is. It is there to make money. It's there to make a lot of fucking money. It makes a ton, and they will do whatever it takes to put on the biggest fucking stage, and they will take advantage of this. This could be a real thing. It's always been in sports. It happens. Now, am I gonna sit there and just harp on that? Like for when, like I wasn't gonna go into if as a Lions fan, if I was expecting to go to the Super Bowl, we got fucking kicked. Okay, I was expecting to go there and face the Chiefs most likely, and I knew that we could end up losing that game, but I also felt like we could fucking beat them when we have recently with the past 2 years, and you know refs or not, I still think like the Eagles can go in there and do it. And
I hope so.
so I
I
think we're
hope
not even
so.
on the wrong page here. So I think there's been, I can't just go out there and that doesn't do me. I love the sport too much. I'm just invested. If I was,
No, I think the difference here is like you're actually like a football fan. I'm not really a football fan. I just have a favorite team.
yeah, I'm more into.
I kind of see it from the outside looking in. Like I'm looking
No,
at it
I
as like
get it, and
it's a,
but
it's all marketing in a way. The
so
NFL is marketing.
I
Super Bowl is
mean,
marketing. Tickets to that Lions game they said the cheapest ticket was $800. A lot of money. A lot of money to go see some players run up and down the field. It's a big industry.
Yeah, it wasn't
So
always like that
and
here.
you did make a good point. I mean, it has been going on for years, and then why has nobody said anything? But I mean, like, it just seems like there's a profound thing going on right now, and I see similarities to other stuff. Just like I was saying, Caitlin Clark, she's a big star right now. You see her on the news, Instagram, everything all
But
over the place,
they
creating
market her
funds.
really well, and she was also the highest. That was based on the fact that she was the scoring the most points in women's history, and she was just a marketable person, span that sport, and it propelled that and to about the WNBA, but it certainly skyrocketed uh, the view of women's basketball, and the majority, like public people,
Yeah,
actually like paid it fucking attention now. Um, and it was just excellent marketing. But it's not like her fucking games were fixed. She never won a championship. She lost to a woman, you know.
I guess you're right. I mean, Mahomes makes mistakes. Their team makes mistakes. The team they're playing against makes mistakes.
That team
We'll see.
has
We'll see
barely
how
been
it turns
able to
out.
fucking win
We're
their
gonna
games,
we're
and
gonna see how it turns out. Listen, let's put it like this: a lot of people are asking questions. They're like, "What the fuck is going on?" And a lot of people are calling out this shit. So I mean, if I'm gonna take a step back and just look at it from with an unbiased opinion, just pay attention to the next couple games. Let's put it like we'll see how it goes.
I'll be.
Because
We're all gonna be watching the
because
refs now.
what I'm not putting into consideration, like Andy Reid, he's a really good coach. Like he knows exactly how to win a game. Like like what
He,
I've seen him from what I've seen, it's a master class.
he is
Like
the best coach, in my
he
opinion.
knows exactly what plays to run at exactly what time to put yourself in scoring position, put points on the board, and put yourself in position to win the game. Like most of their games, they're ahead at the half, and I think like 70% of the time when
And
you're ahead
that,
at the half, you
and
end up
then
winning
they
the game.
coast. They score
Right.
just enough, and they rely on that good defense to hold up.
And
And they
exactly.
don't
I mean,
do
once you get
their whole key in the playoffs is they do not turn over the ball. Mahomes
exactly,
is a
you get
beautiful
yourself
part of that.
in field goal position, that's points for the reward. You get yourself in field goal position every drive at the same time playing good enough defense, you're gonna get ahead
And
really quick.
you know that Mahomes can go down and get you into field goal range. If you need it, you bet you
Yeah,
he can get.
they have a lot of. He's a triple threat. He can pass really well. He can
He will
run.
run.
He's very good in the pocket. He doesn't get sacked very often. So they have a lot of options.
Hey,
I mean, it's really hard to combat. But
there.
at the same time,
You want me
we'll
to talk about
see
the Eagles?
how it goes.
I can load up your Eagles right now. Okay, so Saquon
We
Barkley.
don't have to. We don't have to talk about the Eagles. I mean, like I said, I don't watch a whole lot of football. I just kind of pay attention to like
Okay, well
the good
let
stuff.
me inform you about the Eagles, huh? So Saquon Barkley, he's your running back.
Yeah,
So he should have broke the all-time rushing record, but they sat him out the last game. And that was like a team decision. So he could have broke the record for the most amount of yards in a season. But since the playoffs were coming up and they already clinched their position, they sat him for the last game.
I mean, from what I've seen and heard about the guy, he's pretty humble. And he's not trying to like pad his stats. He just wants to be a really good team player. So I
No, I
mean,
mean he can go on. That could end up being a. No one will care if he gets the fucking ring, man. He's still got a 2,000-yard season. And the main thing is if he got that ring. If he goes and gets
yeah,
that
he's
Super
one of
Bowl
our best
ring, then
players.
whether or not he missed that last game is not going to be as.
He wasn't with us when we got our last Super Bowl.
What was that?
He wasn't with us when we got our last Super Bowl.
Saquon Barkley was just a trade acquisition that you got this past season. This is his first
Where
season
did he come from? The Dolphins.
with the New York Giants.
Oh yeah, you're right. See, I don't
I'm
know.
giving you education right
I
now.
don't
It's
know
okay.
shit,
Like
man.
I said, I know the sport a
I
bit.
don't know shit.
No, he was their star running back in New York, but he fucking had his best season for you guys.
Yeah, I bet I did hear about that.
Um, so I think that'll be a good. I'm expecting the Eagles to win, and Yeah, I think the Chiefs will be
Of course,
there.
I expect the Eagles to win. Of course,
No.
I hope the Bills beat the Chiefs, the Buffalo Bills, whatever you
Well,
want
that
to call
I
them,
would like to see
Buffaloes.
the Chiefs be dethroned, but hey, why? I don't know. It'd just be interesting to see if someone can take
I
them
just
down.
want them to beat their ass. All right? I just want them to lose. Just want to see them lose. Tired of them winning.
Yeah, people don't like
When
greatness, dude. It's not theirs.
No, I think it's just time for some new teams to get into the Super Bowl ring and get an opportunity. Like these guys get gifted. I hate to say that, they're not gonna agree with it, but gifted a free pass like every fucking year. They play good and they're hard to beat, but I mean, at the same time, like, yeah, don't like it on the team. This is
Okay.
my thing. My thing is like if there's a team at any sport that's like I don't know, man.
Hey,
Because
man,
you
if it
make a
was
good
your
point.
team,
You
dude,
make
if
a
that
good
was your
point. You
team,
make a
you
good
would be fucking saying, "Let's go Chiefs,
If
Mahomes,
my
baby."
team was getting goofy calls, bro, I wouldn't
No, you
bullshit
would
and lie about it. I
probably.
wouldn't cap. No, I wouldn't. I call it
You
how
would
it
be
is, bro.
surprised what bias does to you.
I'm single right now because I call it how it is, bro. And I'm
Yeah,
not
but
gonna bullshit.
yeah, and you're able to see it with a much clearer lens. But when you,
I ain't gonna bullshit
especially,
about nothing. If my team is getting bad calls and somebody says something to me, I'm like, hey, I ain't gonna lie.
no, I get it.
That was a little shady. You know what I mean? I don't know what happened there. But it's all good. I mean, listen, if my team starts becoming a problem with the bad calls, then that's another thing. It's like, yeah, bro, I'm gonna be honest with you. I see the same shit y'all see. I don't know, man. Be honest, be real. Like, what the fuck? What can we? It's another. It's just a sport that we watch. Like, if the team you favor is like getting a boost or whatever the fuck the case may be, like who knows, man? I don't know. Again, you make a good point. Like, that'd be pretty hard for a team to just like, all right, we're gonna influence these games with the refs.
I,
It's
let
not an
let
easy feat.
let me like break it down. This guy,
And that'd be considered match fixing. That'd be pretty bad for
the
the sport
owner,
in
the
general.
commissioner would have to go down, who makes 60 million a year on this. So yes, there is a lot of money. He's gonna go, and there's 32 different teams, so that's basically 32 different companies that are worth billions. And he's gonna tell one of them, he's gonna fix it in with all the refs that aren't even paid full time. They have to work other jobs. They can't even
Listen,
get full time. Let me, and then gonna risk his job to tell these refs, hey, give me a few calls for my boy
listen.
Pat.
We're gonna end it on this. I'm not just pointing at the refs. You know what I'm saying? The refs is a big telltale. That's like red flag number one. But it's like we just like the other videos, we're talking about the CIA and we're talking about the cloud seeding and stuff that is like if you look it up online, you're it's obviously gonna say no, that's not true. If you ask the AI, it's obviously gonna say no, that's not true. And if you use kind of like the logic you're using now, like these guys make billions of dollars, why would they risk all that just to make one team win or whatever? You know, it's a
It's just
good
one way
defensive
of it's
standpoint.
one way of thinking. I
Wait.
got you.
That's a good wait. No, that's a good. That's a decent way to think. But if we compare that to all the other stuff we've talked about and our mindset towards that stuff, we consider anything is possible with that stuff just because of the unknown. We don't know. Of course, you know this guy makes this money.
I don't
I
know.
know that our government runs our nation along with our president, but there's a lot of stuff we don't know, and we don't know what we don't know. You
Call
feel
it a
me?
half-ass
There
stance, man. But
there
that's
could
I'm
be
with you.
absolutely some shit going on and we don't know about it. But I mean, and we may never know about it. But I mean, all we can go off of is the signs at the time. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like we
All
don't know, and there's no like telltale factor that says, okay, JFK absolutely got assassinated by the CIA. But there's plenty of signs that point to that happens. And I mean, you get enough of those signs, it gives you come to the conclusion that's like, all right, well, yeah, this supports my thought or my bias and whatnot. Whereas, hence, if you're somebody that doesn't get enough information, you don't see enough information to be like, okay, well, I don't believe it. You know what I'm saying? That's not enough to make me believe. But that's justifiable too. You haven't seen enough information that would make you,
Yeah,
consider the external thought. And that's why I was saying earlier, like, the your kind of idea was very defensible because I mean, like, watching every game, it's like I want you to watch a montage of all the calls that they've been
I
gifted
have.
today,
I
like
will.
game changing calls.
Yeah. So
And then you look at it for other teams. Like, it doesn't happen as often. It hasn't happened as often in the last couple of years with this whole Taylor Swift going into the games and being with Travis Kelsey and the Kelsey brothers. Like, who knows what that has to do with the, it could be anything.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I don't know anything, but the Kelsey brothers and the Eagles going to the Super Bowl, and it's all I know is that it's good money for the sport. And at the very least, those executives that what you're talking about, that's what they care about. If something happens in their sport where they're gonna lose money, they're gonna have a problem with it. If something happens in the sport that's gonna get them more money, I'm sure they're gonna be like, yeah, let's do it. Okay. And it would like at this point you have to consider like, anything is possible. They could absolutely tell these reps are like, all right, they need one call to influence these games. And if you want to look at it from a different perspective, you're absolutely right. These refs might be working part
yeah.
time, but I'm sure some of these refs are veterans, especially in these late
They
games in the
are,
season.
but
They've been that wait, let me finish. They've been refing for a long time. So they know how these games work. They probably know who's going to win at certain points. You know what I'm saying? Just like the coaches do. At some point, as a coach, like, all right, we're probably not going to win this game. We're going to try our hardest to win. But you're when you're not going to win. You know when you don't have enough time to score again. You know when you don't have whatever the case may be. These refs probably on the same exact page. Again, it only takes one call. Just like that Ravens game, do drop the pass. There's several instances in that game where they could have turned it around, where they fumbled, dropped the ball and all types of other shit. But there's
yeah. If you want to talk about a bad call, that game there was a questionable call that I don't know if I agreed with, and whether or not that changes the momentum. I like you said, the Ravens already made a couple mistakes early in that first half, and mainly Lamar, and then those catches, and they had the chance to tie it. But the refs, look, all I was making was like one perspective of it. Honestly, when I sit here, I just like you don't know. I don't know. Could the refs be doing that? Yeah, but that I gave you just one perspective of like it might. We could look back on this in 5 years and still be having the same fucking discussion, or we could be like, oh hell yeah, they were just fucking rigging this shit the whole time. But that also would crush what they are.
I mean,
So
if the stuff about the CIA that we've been talking about
no,
for the last month came out and people realize it would crush who they are too. But people aren't critical thinkers. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't take a super intelligent person to go on the internet and look up this stuff.
no, I get
So, I
it.
mean,
No,
it
and
applies both ways.
I could put together a montage of all these clips that happened. Chiefs,
The last couple of years, I'm not just talking about this year, no, the last couple of years. The last couple of years.
and then we
Even
could
that
go
Super
back even
Bowl.
to the Patriots dynasty. Things happened there too, and it was actually going on.
I
So
mean,
that's
dude,
why
if it's
I'm
been
not.
going on for even if it's going on for even longer and I didn't know about it, then that just makes the situation even worse. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I mean,
That
remember
just means that people
Brady
are
and
really naive.
Deflategate?
Deflating the balls,
Yeah,
thinking they're better or
yeah,
something.
yeah. That
Not
shit. He
deflating
ended up
game.
he ended up getting suspended for that, and then I think they were stealing calls, kinds of shit.
Hmm.
So they
Like I
were
said,
they
anything
were
is
a cheating
possible.
team. Right now, the Chiefs have not been convicted. Refs, just like the way Mahomes plays on the field more than anyone else. They like him. Really like him, okay? Some guys have a favorite
Understand.
quarterback, and those refs are a big fan of the game, and they like to see Mahomes.
Mahomes.
Hmm?
Mahomes. Mm-hmm.
These refs just are Mahomes fans.
Mahomes fans. They're Mahomes.
I can tell you're any.
Yeah, buddy.
Wish they weren't there so you could have an easier path to win your Super Bowl.
Steamroll everyone. Yep.
You don't want to actually play
Steamroll
the big
everyone.
bad Chiefs. You want to
It's
fucking
not
go
that I
play the.
don't want to
You
play
want. You would
them.
rather play the Bills, and you know it, and that's fair.
No. It doesn't matter who we play. I feel like it'll be an interesting game. I just want to see us win. I want to see my team. All the work we put in this entire year pay off. We're good enough. We played good enough. We're in a good position to do that. So, have high hopes.
Well, yeah, I think
You
even
know,
if you lose to the Chiefs, you're gonna already have the ref thing built in, so it's gonna be fine, dude. You'll cope
dude, if we win and
if you
like the
win.
refs give us calls or give them calls, I'm gonna point that shit out. I mean, I'm not one of those guys that just goes
No,
around pointing out the calls that
I'm.
don't happen. I just noticed that it happens with the Chiefs a lot, and that might just be because I see it a lot on the internet. So I
They're the
mean,
most
I could
popular
be
team
wrong.
and the most viewed like football team. Like as far as clips, if you're gonna see a clip of any team, it's gonna be those close games, and they're in a shit ton of them. I'm not even. The refs could be doing it. Could be doing it.
Could be doing it. I'll
That's what
do
I'd
it.
like to fucking believe is some of the games that I've watched as just a fan of my own team. I'm like, somebody paid these fucking. How do you fucking? You're disgusting. And
Some
that's when I
team.
started going on the train of like, what's going on with this league? And then I started calling the Super Bowl the Brady Bowl because Tom Brady was in it every year.
The Brady Bowl.
You have a foot inside the camera.
I do.